Okay, let's dive in. Picture this. New Mexico desert, July 1947. It's late. A huge thunderstorm is crashing down, lightning everywhere. And then something falls out of that sky. Something, well, unexplained.
Right. And it all kicks off at dawn, really, with a rancher, Mac Brazel. He's out checking his sheep after the storm, and he finds, well, it wasn't sheep debris.
Definitely not. The sources say he found this wreckage spread out over a massive area. Just weird stuff. And not just a little bit, right? Like a really wide field of it.
Exactly. He described finding these shiny metallic pieces, almost like foil, but weird foil, because you could crumple it up.
Crumple it in your hand.
And it would just spring right back, smooth itself out again. Imagine that.
It's hard to picture. And then there are those beams, right? The sort of wood-like things.
Uh-huh. Lightweight, apparently super strong, but they looked kind of like balsa wood. And they had these symbols on them.
Symbols burned into them, like hieroglyphics or something.
Kind of. Geometric shapes, nothing anyone recognized, not military markings, not any language people knew.
And Brazil was pretty clear, wasn't he? He said, look, I know what weather balloons look like. I know what planes look like.
Yeah.
This wasn't either of those.
He was adamant. So, naturally, he gathers some of the strangest bits, drives into Roswell, takes them to the sheriff.
Sheriff Barnes. And he must have thought it was pretty unusual, too, because he calls the military straight away. Roswell Army Airfield.
And that call, well, that sets everything in motion. The whole Roswell phenomenon really starts there.
It really does. Because what happens next is just a bombshell. July 8th, 1947, the military base puts out a press release. And the headline basically is, "We've recovered a flying disc." Just like that.
Can you even imagine? In 1947, the news just explodes everywhere. Headlines screaming about UFOs. People are thinking, wow, visitors from space. It captured the imagination instantly.
A real sense of wonder, maybe a bit of fear, too. Like, history was changing right there.
It felt huge, like we weren't alone, and the proof was sitting in an army hangar.
But then the rug gets pulled, like, almost immediately.
Yeah, the excitement lasted, what, maybe 24 hours? Less?
The very next day, the military holds another press conference. Total reversal.
They say, oh, never mind, that flying disc, it was just a weather balloon.
Just a weather balloon, case closed, move along, nothing to see here.
Right. A simple mistake, apparently, but was it? That's the real question, isn't it?
Exactly. Why does this story stick around? Why are we still talking about it decades later? It should have just faded away if it was that simple.
Well, the official explanation that kind of cemented itself over the years, especially with the Cold War context, revolves around Project Mogul.
Ah, yes, Project Mogul. It sounds very classified.
It was top secret at the time. The idea was that Mogul explain all the weird debris Brazil found.
Okay, so break down Project Mogul for us. What was it actually, beyond just balloons?
So Project Mogul was this U.S. Army Air Force program started in '47. Its main goal, to listen for Soviet nuclear tests way up high. We're talking these huge trains of balloons, neoprene balloons, stretching maybe hundreds of feet, designed to float way up in the stratosphere, like 60,000 feet plus. And they carried sensitive microphones, basically, acoustic sensors.
To pick up sound waves from atomic blasts far away.
Exactly. Low-frequency sound waves traveling through the upper atmosphere. It was early Cold War surveillance tech, pretty cutting edge for the time.
Okay, so the official story becomes, that's what crashed. A Project Mogul balloon train.
Precisely. And they tried to map Brazil's descriptions onto Mogul components.
So the weird metallic foil that sprang back into shape.
That, they said, was maybe the lightweight radar reflectors made of foil-backed paper, or the neoprene balloon material itself, strong, light stuff.
And the symbols on the beams?
The official line became that was just branding or identifiers on the tape used in constructing the balloon arrays, like tape from a company called Acropack, which had these sort of geometric, flowery patterns.
So from the military's later perspective, everything Brazil found, accounted for, just bits of a secret balloon project, the initial flying disc thing, just an overeager officer making a mistake.
That became the neat, tidy explanation. Put it all down to Cold War secrecy and a simple misidentification.
It sounds plausible on the surface, logical even. But here's the big but. People remembered what they saw. It didn't always sound like just a weather balloon recovery.
No, it didn't. You had reports almost immediately of a heavy military presence, not just showing up, but being really secretive about it.
Like witnesses talking about military trucks covered with canvas, hauling wreckage away under armed guard, military police involved.
And those stories about men in suits showing up in town.
Yeah, the creepy guys. warning locals, telling witnesses, even their families apparently, to keep quiet. Hints of threats even.
That level of response, it just doesn't quite track for a weather balloon, does it?
Yeah.
Even a secret one. It screams cover-up to a lot of people.
It really does. Why all the secrecy? Why the alleged intimidation? If it's just your own equipment, why treat the locals like that?
And that sudden switch in the story, from flying disc to weather balloon in less than a day, that speed felt suspicious, almost like damage control.
It definitely fueled the fire rather than putting it out, created this massive gap between the official story and what people felt actually happened.
And then came the really unsettling stuff, the whispers.
Right, the whispers that maybe it wasn't just wreckage they found, that there were bodies.
Not human bodies. That detail, even as rumor, just changes everything. It adds this whole other layer of profound mystery and, frankly, fear.
And that's why the story just wouldn't die down for decades.
Exactly. It simmered. And then years later, you start getting these witnesses coming forward, people who were there or close to it who'd stayed silent for a long time.
Why silent for so long? Fear. Orders.
A mix of things, probably. Military oaths, fear of ridicule, maybe direct orders not to talk. But some, later in life, felt they had to speak out.
Like who? What kind of accounts are we talking about?
Well, there are some really striking ones. There's the account passed down from Stella Davis, who was apparently a nurse at the base hospital. Her niece, Miriam Bush, relayed the story.
What did she supposedly see?
Small figures, grayish, with large heads, big dark eyes, not human patients. Beings she couldn't identify, of course, that's secondhand, but powerful nonetheless.
And what about Major Jesse Marcel? He was actually there at the start, wasn't he, the intelligence officer?
He was. He was the one initially sent out to investigate the debris field with Brazel. And he was part of that initial flying disc announcement. Years later, Marcel went public, said he was pressured to change his story, forced to pose with weather balloon debris for the cameras.
Wow.
He maintained, right up until he died, that the material he handled was like nothing on Earth. Lightweight, incredibly strong, those weird symbols. He felt it was extraterrestrial. His testimony carries a lot of weight for believers.
Because he was there. He handled it.
And there were others. Glenn Dennis, a local mortician, claimed he got strange inquiries from the base about child-sized coffins and preservation techniques right around that time. He also claimed a nurse told him about seeing non-human bodies. Again, hard to verify, but part of the persistent narrative.
So you have all these accounts bubbling up. And then came the era of declassified documents, right? Freedom of information requests.
Yes. People hoped for answers, for the truth to finally come out in black and white.
But
Instead, they often got documents with huge sections blacked out, redacted pages, which, doesn't exactly build confidence or transparency.
if anything, it makes it look more like a cover-up, doesn't it? Like, what are they still hiding after all this time?
For many, yes. It fueled the suspicion. Even later official reports, like the Air Force reports in the 90s.
The ones that doubled down on Project Mogul and tried to explain the bodies as crash test dummies from later experiments.
Exactly. For skeptics, those reports closed the book. For believers, they felt like attempts to fit the facts to a predetermined, non-alien conclusion. Too little, too late, and still not fully transparent.
So the debate just rages on. You've got the skeptics firmly planted. It was Mogul. End of story.
Their argument is logical, based on the known science and history of the Cold War. They say the materials fit, the secrecy fits Mogul, and witness accounts are unreliable over time, memory fades, stories get embellished. No verifiable alien hardware has ever surfaced.
Okay, but then the believers push back hard with questions that are, well, they're hard to just brush off. Like, if it was just a balloon, why the intense secrecy right from the get-go? Why slam the lid down so hard and fast?
Why the sudden whiplash-inducing change in the story, that 24-hour flip from disc to balloon?
Why threaten ordinary people, farmers, and townsfolk to keep quiet? What were they so afraid of them saying?
And the big one, where's the definitive proof? If it was just a balloon, show us. Show us the unredacted files, the recovered materials analyzed independently. Why the continued secrecy if there's nothing truly extraordinary to hide?
That's the core of it, isn't it? The lack of transparency. It forces you, the listener, to weigh these things. The official explanation requires you to trust the government's delayed account and disregard the strangeness of their actions. The alternative requires you to believe in something extraordinary based on witness accounts and perceived inconsistencies.
It's a genuine dilemma. And that complexity leads us to Roswell's legacy, because whatever did happen that night,
It became something much bigger.
it became a symbol, a cultural touchstone.
Yeah, a symbol of,
Yeah.
well, of UFOs, obviously. It put flying saucers and little gray men firmly on the map, but also a symbol of government secrecy, that feeling that maybe they aren't telling us everything.
And it tapped into that deeper human thing, didn't it? That question about, are we alone? What else is out there? Roswell became the focal point for all those hopes and fears.
Absolutely. The cultural impact is huge. Movies, TV shows, Roswell is a shorthand for UFO crash.
It really is. And it's still alive today. You can go to Roswell, New Mexico.
Oh yeah, the town leans into it, right? Alien statues, the UFO museum.
Yeah, they do. Tourists flock there every year. They listen to the stories, look at the exhibits. Some people telling the stories might wink, others seem deadly serious. The legend persists.
It's fascinating how one event, shrouded in so much ambiguity, can take on such a life of its own.
It speaks to our need for answers, maybe our desire for something beyond the mundane.
So maybe the final thought here isn't necessarily about finding concrete proof of aliens or weather balloons. Maybe the enduring truth of Roswell is about us, about our desire to believe.
The desire to believe we're not alone in this immense universe.
Yeah, that maybe there's something more out there. Believing that, it offers a kind of wonder, doesn't it? A challenge. Even if the proof remains just out of reach, buried in the desert sand, or maybe just in our collective imagination.
It certainly makes you think, not just about the evidence itself, but about why these stories matter so much to us, why we keep asking the questions.